At Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont, we believe in spiritual living. Above all else, it is a philosophy that teaches us how to think and not what to think. We invite everyone to practice this philosophy by living in principle. We believe that God is all there is, and each person's relationship to God is a personal one. Every person, place, and thing, and all the space in between is not only an expression of God, but God itself. All love, peace, and beauty that is God exists within each person right now. Together we are all connected as one. Our faith allows us to apply this philosophy to our lives in every moment of every day. As we live in love, we see love revealed and flowing through the world around us. We act as citizens of this spiritual community at all times. This is how we think. We believe in God, we believe in ourselves, and we believe in you because we believe in spiritual living. We are the Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont.
Yes, we are the Center for Spiritual Living in Beaumont. So, in this very moment, right here and right now, we're gathered here to get our spiritual sustenance, to receive the Lord, the God that's within us, to be with us and guide us at all times. We know that that God is here. God is everywhere present. God is our guiding light. The oneness that is God is within each and surrounds each one of us. I know that Spirit's presence fills this room with love and joy and happiness, wisdom, peace, harmony, and grace. I bless all those who have volunteered to make today's service unfold with ease and grace. The huggers, the greeters, the ushers, the kitchen angels. I also bless the media team as the service flows easily and smoothly. For the musicians whose words and voice enhance our service, and thank you, Adrian. That was beautiful, amazing grace. I bless Reverend Michael as he is the vessel through which Spirit sends its message, knowing that what we need to be said is said, and what we need to hear, we hear. God is in the house. Feel the presence. And so it is.
Okay, so, I don't know about you, but what I know about me, what I know about what's going on in our country, and let's broaden it, right? That science mind. Let's lift up. Let's lift up beyond the borders of our country and expand that into the bigness of the world, and expand the bigness of the world into the greatness of the universe, and expand the greatness of the universe into the goodness of knowing that it's all one. It's all one. And I've been hearing lately a lot about deficits and some surpluses, but what we are here to experience today, to be the experience of, to be part of the experience of, to be the energy of, the collective of, the oneness of, the consciousness of, is spiritual stimulus. So we're not going to talk about deficits or surpluses because that's duality. We're going to unify that into spiritual stimulus. The stimulus of stepping into who we are in the moment. Stepping into ourselves beyond our fears. I asked Adrian if we could do Amazing Grace, and we were having a little trouble with the video. And he said if I had time, I'd go home, get my guitar, and play Amazing Grace. And I said, I challenge you to forget the practice time, the rehearsal time, and do Amazing Grace. He went into spiritual stimulus. He didn't worry about his deficit or his surplus or his guitar, and he sang that live impromptu. That's Spirit moving in, as, and through us. That's what we demonstrate. I mean, the energy I got when I turned around and saw him singing live, it's extraordinary. That's this teaching. When we turn around and we see someone who has been in a deficit or thinks they're in a surplus and they find they're spiritual and everything's in balance, everything's at one, everything's in harmony in this universe, in this world, in our country, in this planet, because everything is always in balance in spirit. It's always in harmony. It's always in that harmony of heaven as one with earth, and it could be no other way, because God is in our hearts, and we are in the heart of God. And in that oneness of our hearts, when we reach out our hands and sing a song, or play a guitar, or reach out with our voice, or reach out with our thoughts, or reach out with our body language, or reach out with a piece of art that we create, or I do in a workshop Play-Doh and we create our hearts and we talk about what's on our hearts. And there are broken hearts and whole hearts and small hearts and big hearts and blue hearts and yellow hearts and orange hearts and green hearts. But in those workshops and in the oneness of that exercise with Show Me Your Heart with Play-Doh, we get into that child within and we express who we truly are and what we're truly feeling and what we're talking about. What's talking about us? What's talking about me? What's talking here today? It matters. It matters so much more than we may have been willing to invite in the last week or the last month or the last year or the last decade. It matters so much more who we are. It matters so much more who we are today than it has ever mattered. And if you think you don't matter, then come on up and we'll do some prayer work afterwards. If you think you don't matter, let's do some prayer work together. When I came, Adrian said, are you talking to the theme of body, being around body? And Evonne said, are you talking to the theme of being around body? And I said, no, I'm not. And I thought, yes, I am. I had the thought, no, I'm not. That was Michael's thought. The truth is, yes, I am. And what came through, we're talking about body and mind and spirit's presence. And what came through for me was a song from the movie Fame. I remember having movie Fame. It was a really energetic film about kids in an art school, like Juilliard, where they're learning art and dance and music. But what they're really learning, what we're really learning in the arts and the crafts and the theaters, and write your school board, write your governor, write your president, write the people on the opposite side of the aisle from who you like, write everybody. Get these arts programs back in these schools. Get the painting and the drawing. Get the crayons back in there. Going to change our world. Going to change our world. And so there's a song from Fame, and it celebrates that joy of finding the way to who we are. Adrian found his way closer. He got beyond his resistance, and he made welcome. He made welcome. He allowed Spirit to move through him. And it brought such joy to me and such joy to us and such joy to this center. That's the power of the presence of one person realizing who they are. Marianne Williamson, move beyond your fear. You're greater than that. You're a child of God. We're spirit. We're present on earth. So the song is, I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me to come. I dance in my own reunion. When I become one with the sun. It's talking about that unity, about that sonship, about that friendship, about that fellowship, about that companionship with our source, with ourselves, with our heart, and with our mind, and with our body. We let Spirit move through us. You know, it's Father's Day, it's Mother's Day, it's Juneteenth Day. As the Father within, which is part of the Mother within, which is part of the celebration of all people within, the world moves. The world begins to move with us. It begins to dance with us. It begins to speak with us. It begins to show us abundance in every area of our life. Adrian and I were talking about cable was short this week. They weren't able to install it because they didn't have the right length. And so I went to a story about Ross is installing patio lights on our patio. We're putting in a new patio. And he was putting in new patio lights. We went to Lowe's. We had to buy some wire. He said, I think I need about 40 feet. We didn't measure. He just said, I think I need about 40 feet. He's done landscape work for 42 years. He's a pretty good estimator. Well, we got to Lowe's. They ran it off. And he said, we're at the end of the roll. We're at the end of the roll. I'm going to give you the rest. And it measured out to 42 feet. He ordered 40, and the guy threw in the 2 feet for free. But it was 42 feet. And I stood there, and I went, Spirit is here. We ordered 40 feet, we got charged for 40 feet, we got 42 feet. At the end of the roll, that my mind went, that's not enough, we're gonna have to bring out a new big roll from the warehouse. It was enough and more than enough in the moment. So driving here this morning, I said, by the way, how did the cable work out? How did the cable work out? He said, I had to cut off 2 inches. We had 2 inches too many. So he needed 41 feet and 12 inches, 41 feet and 13 inches, 14 inches, and he cut off 2 inches. And so the story is that when our mind said it's not enough, my mind said, oh, there's not enough on that spool, he's going to have to get a big one, it's going to take time. There was enough and more than enough. There was a couple inches extra. And so Spirit's everywhere present when we open to it and we see it and we trust it. And so there's a song called "'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where you ought to be." And when we find ourselves in this place that's just right, we'll be in a valley of love and of light. Part of the simple gift of this teaching, and Elaine spoke to this in her meditation, and if you aren't tuning into the meditation, catch it on your phone on the way here. Watch it later on, but she used the beautiful word of allowing. What are we allowing in our life? What are we allowing to grow? What are we allowing to be present? What are we allowing to teach us? What are we willing to learn? What are we willing to unlearn? And so there's a saying. How many know this saying about gifts? We're talking about gifts right now. How many know the saying, don't look a gift horse? We were trained. We were trained. That was our training. There's another one that says, ride the horse in the direction it's going. Ride the horse in the direction it's going. And what I like to say about gifts and gift horses, make sure that the gift horse you're riding, is the gift horse of that spirit of Stallion's unbridled passion, untethered purpose, and unbounded principle of love as all and all as love. Ride the stallion of spirit in the direction of love, and you will always, in all ways, be okay. Ernest Holmes puts it this way: principle is not bound by precedent. And the precedent that we release, in a sense, in Science of Mind is the precedent that I have to give to get. That's kind of a belief. It's kind of a precedent. But the principle of love is I can receive because I'm worthy of receiving, because I am the gift, because I know my self-worth. Adrian knew his self-worth to sing and to bring joy, and the presence of Spirit would move through him. When we realize we are the gift and we receive that from Spirit, we open up to receiving it from other people. We open up to receiving it from this message today. We open up to receiving from CSL, from Scripture, from great philosophers, great readings, great music, great teachings, great dance. One of the toughest things I said to Ross last week, hard time to be a minister. That was a hard week to be a minister last week. For me. I'm not claiming it for any other minister. Sometimes people forget that ministers are people too. Our hearts break. Our tears break forth like a dam breaking. Our unknowing is so great that all we can do is go into a greater trusting. Go into a greater trusting. You know, when I come to centers and they test the microphone, and I heard this all during ministerial school, testing. And I said, I'm never going to say testing, because if we keep testing the universe, it means we're not trusting it. So when I test the microphone, I say trusting. I'm moving beyond the precedent of testing this universe. I'm moving into the principle of trusting this universe. And Carrie and I were talking, Rev Carrie, before service, and I said, I'm trusting it with a small t, but I'm working on taking it to the capital T. I'm doing it with a small t, but I'm taking it to the capital T. Taking it to the capital T. So we've been talking about gifts, the gifts of the body electric, the gift of dance and music, the gift of prayer from Science of Mind, the gift of this teaching, which embraces all teachings. How cool is that? How cool is that? It's like going to Baskin-Robbins when I was a kid and they had 36 flavors. Look at the choice you had. The choice you had, 36 flavors. This is a 36 flavor teaching. It's more than that. This is a teaching beyond numbers. It's a teaching beyond limitations. It's a teaching beyond the seeing just of the experiences of the world today. The experiences are very real. We're not washing away the experiences. They are real, and they are painful, and they are hurting, and they are confusing. But there's a clarity of consciousness that comes with this teaching to know it's all one energy. We can stay in that fear, or Adrian did. We can move beyond the fear. We can move into faith, and we can be one with Spirit. We can express it in our own way, and we don't need to ask anyone for permission. We don't need to ask anyone for permission to be who we are, to sing the songs we're meant to sing, to be with the people we're meant to be with. And boy, have I got to give a shout out to the CSL practitioners at this center. What I heard on this podium was the practitioners of this center have been absolutely wonderful. So a shout out to your practitioner corps. This center is absolutely wonderful. It is a gift. It is a gift that we open when we come together and we share and we open ourselves. So we're talking about gifts, and I invite you to take out the envelope or the bag that you were given. You should have been given a gift. If you weren't given a little bag when you came in, raise your hand. My husband will hand you one. Okay. Keep your hands up till you get a gift. So this is a gift that you open to receiving. And as you open to receiving, you receive new consciousness. Pardon? It's crackling. Okay. So, as we almost got everybody, as we open that gift, take a look and open it, and see if from that gift you can guess the title of my talk if you don't know it. I see smiles. Arise is a guess, very close. The title of my talk is And Still I Rise. And you know, in movies they have these warnings, you know, a spoiler alert. There's a spoiler alert on your gift. I think it says rapid rising. I'm not sure that we're going to promise rapid rising in Science of Mind. We rise as rapidly as we awaken. We rise in accordance to our awakening. So it can be rapid, it can be slow, but we rise, and my talk is And Still I Rise. And what we're talking about today, what we're being present with today, what we're hearing and listening to, that gift of spirit, we're talking about rising up, and Evonne used this in the meditation. We're talking about rising up in heart, in mind, and in body of courage of the awareness of knowing who and whose we are. And our Science of Mind principle is love is all and all is love. Now, Jean Houston in her book, The Wizard of Us, advises us to lead a yeasty life. A yeasty life. That's the gift Jean Houston gives us. Lead a yeasty life. And a yeasty life is one that moves us from merely surviving, our 9 to 5, our routine, our daily routine, going to the same restaurant, doing the same thing every week, from surviving into thriving, into taking a new turn on the way home, into trying a new restaurant, into cooking something if you're cook you've never cooked before, reaching into the back of that spice cabinet and grab a spice that's been there for 4 years that you've never used and throw it in there, you know? Liven it up, change it up, mix it up, right in the present. Let go of the recipe. Let go of the recipe and create something magnificent. Let go of our recipes and let's create in the moment something magnificent and delicious and savory and healing and comforting. And as we do that, let's invite people to share in that meal with us. You know, as we come to know ourselves better, we rise up in knowing that the Father's house, which is one with the mother's house, because there would be no father without the mother, that in the Father's house there are many mansions. There are many dimensions. And there are many multi-level stories that are being breathed and lived and told. Those are our stories. Reverend Carey and I were talking about the multidimensional level of this teaching. Kay gave me a book talking about mysticism and the Jewish teaching. She gave me one a few months ago, which I'm loving. And this teaching embraces all of it. And I said to Carrie, it just dropped in. Carrie was talking about the power of imagination. You know, fanciful daydream, imagination is not fanciful daydreaming, it's fire from heaven. And I'm talking to Carrie, and boom, this image of a rock tumbler, a jewelry, you know, the tumbler that polishes the rocks and the stones and the diamonds. They tumble and they tumble and they tumble. And I said, my gosh, that's our teaching, isn't it? We throw in a little Judaism, we throw in a little Islam, we throw in a little Buddhism, we throw in a little Catholicism, we throw in a little of this and a little of that, just like our spice cabinet in the kitchen. And we come up with a really delicious recipe that works for us. That works for this world, that's relevant to the world today. It's not static, it's not boring, it's alive, and it's where we thrive in this teaching. So we're going to talk about stories today, some that are borrowed, some that are biblical, some that are remembered. And our talk being in Still We Rise. Story. I found this story. This story found me this week. I think one of the fun things about being a minister, well, here's an ever-present truth. So much is finding me. Wow. You know that one, Reverend Carey? Yeah. How many practitioners here know that one? How many people here know that so much is finding you? Wow, look at the hands. Look at the hands. Look at the hands. Look how much is finding us. In a world that has the appearance of being lost, look at how much is finding us. That's an everyday miracle. It's an everyday miracle, an everyday ordinary miracle, because miracles are ordinary. Story. CSL Center is looking for a new musical director, a new organist, and they invite in a guest organist and musical director, and he says, well, what am I supposed to play? I don't have any order of music. I usually have an order of music. And the minister said, well, there's no order in the universe. You know, the universe is always orderly, so we don't have to set order. We just trust the universe to guide us. We allow stuff to come to us. And the music director's a little nervous about that's not the way he works. He normally goes from the precedent of tell me what to play. So now the minister's saying, come from the principle of love where it's all going to be good. So the music director says, okay. The minister says, now look, we have a leaky roof, we need a new roof. Our air conditioner's out, we need an air conditioner. We're going to need tens of thousands of dollars, and we need it now. So I would like to invite any congregant who feels they can donate $1,000 this Sunday before you leave to stand up. One or two congregants stand up. The new music director looks around, sees what's going on. The minister said, play into my talk, play with me, support me. And the music director begins playing Star Spangled Banner. Everyone in the center stands up. The minister says, I'm holding every one of you to your commitment. So do we need an air conditioner? I don't know. I don't know this. I'm just saying. But what's coming to me and what's coming through us, it matters where we stand in the world. It matters where we stand in our principles. And it truly matters how we bring this teaching to life through our words and our actions and our thoughts and our deeds. Storytelling, it is said, and I love this line, is medicine for the soul. It's medicine for the soul. Because stories help us to remember, to believe in, to cherish, to live from the love in our hearts, and to make welcome our soul's wisdom in our everyday lives. Adrian did that. He let soul come through. So I'm going to get out of the way here. I'm going to let soul come through. That's what was exciting. That's what's exciting. That's what's exciting when we allow. It's exciting when we make welcome. It's exciting when we pray it into being. Because when we come from that energy, when we come from that oneness of the Son, when we come from that oneness of knowing who and whose we are, that Spirit is ever present in every situation, We come to know then, and it's been a great gift to me lately to know that I'm okay even when I feel I'm not okay. And it's okay to feel not okay. If you haven't had moments of not feeling okay, I'm worried about you. Come pray with me after. We'll pray for you to feel not okay. Now, actually, that's not good practitioner work. We pray for our self-worth. But if you haven't had moments of not feeling okay lately, I'm going to pray the other way. I'm going to move beyond that. Because it was perfectly human and perfectly loving and perfectly caring to have moments of not okayness. You know, there's a story about, we're talking about the unity of fathers and mothers and sons and daughters and all religions and all faiths and all cultures coming together as one. And I love stories. Stories speak to our soul and heal our soul. There's a story, I've labeled it Strangers on a Train. Alfred Hitchcock did a movie, Strangers on a Train, in 1950 with Farley Granger. Kind of a scary movie. You may not want to watch it alone or at night. But this story I labeled Strangers on a Train has a different meaning. It's from Ionesco's The Bald Sopranos. There's a man and a woman traveling on a train, strangers on a train. And they're coming from Hartford, Connecticut to New York. And they happen to be sitting next to each other, and they begin polite conversation. How are you? I'm taking the New Haven train, 10:30 train to New York. Gentleman says, I'm taking the 10:30 train to New York, Grand Central Station, and I'm going to this location at the plaza. And so the one says, well, I'm going to 1177 Plaza. And the gentleman turns and goes, I'm going to 1177 Plaza. They head to the same building. They start up in the elevator, and she says, I'm going to the 8th floor in 1177 Plaza. He goes, I'm going to the 8th floor. She said, I'm going to apartment 411. He said, I'm going to apartment 411. It turns out they both live in the same apartment. They fathered a 7-year-old daughter, and they have been man and wife for 17 years. But they have been so estranged through their jobs, their careers, what they're focused on, materialism, paying the rent, being important, titles, that they forgot they were married together. How often do we forget who we are? How often do we forget our relationship with our children and our fathers and our sons and our daughters and the Father within, the Spirit within? How often do we become too busy? Do we become strangers on a train or strangers in the night or strangers in our spiritual community to one another? Because we forget we're all one. Stories help us to remember to remember. Spirit's in the house. Reverend Carey used one of my quotes from my talks today, so I'm madly scrambling to edit and put in a new quote, but I'm going to go with a quote. Spirit's in the house. Reverend Carey was speaking about imagination. There's a great story about Walt Disney. Well, I mean, I'm labeling it great. Maybe it's not great to you. It's a story about Walt Disney. After Walt Disney passed, and they were opening a huge event in Florida. It might have been Epcot Center. And Walt Disney had long since passed. And Walt Disney's wife was there getting ready to cut the ribbon. And the mayor of the town turned to her and said, how sad it is that Walt isn't here to see this. And Walt Disney's wife turned to the mayor and said, oh, but he did see it. That's why we're here today. And as Ernest Holmes said, imagination is not fanciful daydreaming. It is fire from heaven. Reverend Carey brought that forth. I brought it forth. How do we bring that forth? Adrian brought that forth in his life today. He didn't daydream. He brought forth that fire from heaven to be who he was. 3, right? Spirit works in triplicate. Body, mind, and spirit. What was, what is, and what will be. Spirit works in triplicate. The old, the new, and the now. That's what we're talking about today. Rising up, a yeasty life, a yeasty life. You know, I'm often asked what is science of mind to me, and I say it's not a preaching, it's a teaching. It's not exclusive, it's inclusive. It's not a negation of everything, it's an affirmation of everything. It is not a therapy, it is an awareapy. It's an awareapy of knowing, and I affirm this, and I will invite you to affirm with me after. I will read it first, and then I invite you to say it with me. Science of mind is an awareapy of knowing. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. That's what we're here to remember, to remember. You know, I find at times when I want to call people out on their stuff, have you noticed wanting to talk back to the TV lately? To the headlines, your computer, those flash headlines. You wanted to call people out, and what I'm reminded to remember, when I want to call you out on your stuff, it's always my stuff. That's a hard one in this teaching. How can what I'm seeing not be their stuff? How can what I'm seeing not be their stuff? How can it be my stuff? And when I forget to be cause, that I am cause, then I'm reminded to go to prayer, to go to meditation, to go to contemplation, to go to journaling, to go to nature. To go to nature. And to realize who I am and what I am and how I'm showing up in the world is part of how the world is showing up for me. No crayons for the kids, no art classes for the kids, no music classes for the kids, no music teachers for the kids. Part of me. I haven't written my senator. Now I need to take it from the pulpit and go on purpose and take it from prayer into calling things forth in this world. Final story, talking about the Father within as one. Scottish town. There's a monastery. It has been so alive with energy, so full with light, that people from towns all around came to this monastery. They walked, they traveled miles and miles to come to this monastery, to come to this parish on a Sunday, just to be present in that energy. Be present in the energy Adrian called forth today. Be present in that energy. And all of a sudden, the 3 months start arguing, and this is the direction we take, and it's not the right message, and you gave the talk last week, and I want to give it this week, and I didn't like what you said, and I don't like the color of the carpet we bought. And all of a sudden, the light dims, and people stop coming, and the monastery falls into great disrepair. So one monk turns it over to Spirit and says, what am I to do? And Spirit says, go for a walk in the woods behind the monastery. He's called, he hears it, that's the gift he's given, go for a walk in the woods behind the monastery. He gets to open that gift or not. He opened the gift, he went for a walk, he meets a wise, wizardly, father-like character who we know wouldn't be there without the mother-like character behind the father-like character. And the wizard says to him, one of you 3 monks is God. The monk goes, one of us is God. He goes back to the monastery. He shares with his 2 other compadre monks, one of us is God, one of us is God. They all start treating each other as if they're God. They start saying yes, they start embracing, they start loving unconditionally. They move from the precedent of ego into the principle of love. The light shines, the monastery comes back, people from all over come and gather and do it and shine here. They chose to let their love shine. You can hide that light or you can shine that light. And there's a song that I love. It's from Lerner and Lowe's, Brigadoon. I'm taking singing lessons. Ross said I can't sing anymore unless I take singing lessons. I have ordered singing lessons, online singing lessons. Who knew? You don't even have to leave your house. Like on the treadmill, they say, I'm going to check and do online singing lessons. I'm scheduled this week. So this is my pre-singing, pre-skit lesson that I'm stepping into the way Adrian did. I'm going for it. I'm not comfortable, but I'm going for it. This song is from Brigadoon. It's called Almost Like Being in Love, and it speaks to the magical, mystic, miraculous, healing power of love. And that's what we're talking about today. The knowing of life eternal and love forever. If you know it, please sing along with me. Maybe the sun gave me the power, for I could swim Loch Lomond and be home in half an hour. Maybe the air gave me the drive, for I'm all aglow and alive. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I would swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. Not a word did we say. It was almost like being in love, but your arm linked in mine made the world kind of fine. It was almost like being in love. You know that song, right back at you, right back at you. You should have heard you. We got a choir going here. We got an orchestra. We got a symphony of voices rising up in love and admiration and the knowing of who we are. We're rising up. We're rising up today. We're leading a yeasty life. We're having a yeasty talk. That's what it's all about. There's one clip I will run, Adrian, if you've got it. Charlie Chaplin said this. He said, smile. And Adrian's got a clip here. Charlie Chaplin lived in hard times, times of war and depression, and children not having enough to eat. And I like to see the word smile as science of mind is love expressing. Science of mind is love expressing. Adrian stepped into that truth. Science of mind is love expressing. Charlie Chaplin stepped into the truth in the way he stepped into it. Maya Angelou stepped into her truth the way she stepped into it. Beyond circumstances, she came to a consciousness of remarkable creativity, a consciousness that changed this world. John Lewis came into a consciousness beyond hard conditions of his life and fathered the courage and the power and the possibility of moving from a small town boy into the U.S. Senate. He found his voice, he found his purpose, he found his passion. And so science of mind is love expressing in good times and bad times and hard times and easy times. And we'll end with this. Science of mind, we move from the old to the new to the now. This final story speaks to that. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. Got to be some truth here because there's energy just coming up. It's going to cost you your comfort zone. And it's going to cost you your sense of direction. It's going to cost you relationships and friendships and family. It's going to cost you being liked. It's going to cost you being understood. But it does not matter. Because the people who are meant for you are going to meet you on the other side. And together you're going to build a new comfort zone around the things that actually move you forward. And instead of liked, you're going to be loved. Instead of understood, you're going to be seen. And you're going to lose, and all that you're going to lose is what was built for a person you no longer are. Let it go. Rise up, and still I rise. Rise up in that knowing that we are magnificent human beings, that we are one with Spirit, that we are father, mother, daughter, son, black, white, Jewish, Muslim, Islam, rich, poor, smart, not having the advantages of an education, not having the opportunity of good food and good nourishment. But for those of us who have had the opportunity and have the opportunity, everyone here today, you're being here, you are a possibility. You are a possibility of the power of prayer, of the power of meditation, of the power of peace, of the power of this teaching going forth in this world. You are this teaching. You and how we call it forth. You and I together, how we call it forth from our heart through our hands. We'll make a world that works for everyone with no one left behind. And so I will know here for us, good words were spoken here today. They weren't Michael's words. They weren't heard by you in the way you normally hear them. They were spoken from the heart of spirit into this one heart that's in this congregation, the one heart of the center, the one heart of this teaching that knows love and only love. That's a powerful presence. That powerful presence of love gives us purpose and passion and possibility. Today, possibility was spoken here. Passion was spoken here. Music was sung here. Words were read, joy and poetry. We remembered to remember who and whose we are in a world that so invites us to forget. So as we leave here today, I invite us to leave in that presence and that energy of letting go of our old life and making welcome a new life, of moving from the old, which isn't working so well, to the new, which can work better, to the now, in which all possibilities of love and joy and peace and harmony and bliss and oneness are right there and now manifest in this room, in our hearts. We are a powerful orchestra. We are a powerful orchestra. We know where we stand, we know whose we are, we know what is ours to do. It's always a joy being at this center. You are a fantastic congregation. You have a wonderful core of practitioners. You have wonderful leadership. You have wonderful tech support. It is so much fun being in the presence of the energy at the center. Be well. Stay conscious. Namaste. Thank you.
Ain't he awesome? All right. So we're going to close today with my fingers aren't working right here. Hold on. With a song. Let us all stand and together sing I release and I let go.
This is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
joining us for our Sunday service. Please remember to like, comment, and share this video on Facebook, YouTube, and any other social media you are a member of. To donate to CSL Beaumont, you can text GIVE to 951-420-6909, or you can visit our website at cslbeaumont.org and click the donate button at the top or bottom of the page. You can also mail your donation to CSL Beaumont, 802 Maple Avenue, Beaumont, California, 92223. Have a blessed day, and namaste.